Resign or be removed calls growing for the executive director of the Integrity Commission to be fired over the treatment of reports involving Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Cleared, the Prime Minister will not face criminal charges over conflict of interest allegations. I'm Jovan Johnson and this is Jamaica Now. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has dismissed the controversy involving the Integrity Commission's handling of a report involving him as a distraction. Hours after arriving from a CARICOM meeting in the Bahamas, he told supporters on Friday afternoon that a serious look is, however, required to improve Jamaica's anti-corruption framework.
We must use this as an opportunity to reaffirm our own commitment to treating with the issue of corruption, which has been made into a political weapon. Yes. It has been weaponized and it has been used in a way that detracts and distract from the real focus.
Now, senior government officials and leading civil society groups are calling for a probe of the Integrity Commission over its handling of the report and a ruling involving the Prime Minister.
Okay, let's stop it there. Now, wow, I did expect the sitting, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, to come out firing on all cylinders. I mean, I did say in my previous video that he's going to go into his war room and they're going to come up with whatever they're going to come up with to defend their situation. And likewise, the JLP party, with leading by Mark Golding, is also going to be in his war room with his team doing their thing. So here we are, the political banter has started just as I expected. Told you, politicians, they're predictable. What I didn't predict, however, I shouldn't use the word predict actually, because I'm no prophet or anything like that. What I didn't expect though is, they turning their swords on, the leading, Prime Minister of Jamaica, turning his sword. Did I say leading Prime Minister? I meant to say the sitting Prime Minister. The sitting Prime Minister of Jamaica right now, Andrew Holness. What I didn't expect is for him to sort of turn his swords and say this is a political tool that's been used and it's been weaponized, and so on and so forth. But we're going to get into that a little bit more, so just let Jovan just go into this and then I'll just dissect as we go along. So let's go.
The calls are also growing for Greg Christie to resign or be sacked as executive director. The Director of Investigations at the Anti-Corruption Agency, Kevon Stevenson, had referred a report to the Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, for alleged breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act. Mr. Stevenson concluded that Mr. Holness may have influenced the awarding of millions of dollars in government contracts to Westcon Construction Limited, a company owned by Robert Garvin, one of Mr. Holness's business associates. The recommendation was made in a 107-page report which contains details of an investigation into the award of government contracts to Westcon between 2006 and 2009. Okay,
so let me just pause it there. Now, I'm going to go into this a little bit more because I do have a copy of that report, the 107-page report. I have given it a cursory read and we'll go through some brief points in it. And I'll break it down as we go along. I don't want to jump into that now. I just want this sort of segment to finish and then we'll just jump into it after this, okay? But so hold tight. This is going to get interesting.
However, the Director of Corruption Prosecutions ruled that no charges will be brought against the Prime Minister. Mr. Holness denied the allegations. Now, very senior members of government and leading civil society organizations have lashed the Commission over the matter, arguing that the ruling should have been tabled along with the investigation report. Government senators, led by Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson Smith, say the handling of the case has been unjust, bizarre and unusual.
Whoa, your horses right there, bro. Bizarre, unjust and unusual. I don't think so. I disagree with that. This is the political banter I was warning you about. I knew, it's funny that they're saying, there's this, the government of Jamaica is actually saying, entities are politicizing, because he didn't specifically say out of his mouth that it was the Integrity Commission he was talking about, or it was Mark Golding he was talking about. He just says they're politicizing and they're weaponizing the situation. So I'm taking it that shot is fired at both entities in that respect, because it's obviously against him, the charges are against him, and and that has a stain on his party, obviously. Now here we have a senior member of the government is coming out and lashing out and saying the things that she's saying, and I completely disagree. And let me just say this, I keep saying this in all my videos, whenever I cover topics like this, I have to keep reiterating this, because I know some people that don't listen. I am not party partisan. I don't support the JLP party, I don't support the PNP party, I don't support any politician whatsoever. Okay, I'm just purely on the face of what's happening and in the best interest for the country. So I don't care what side of the fence you sit on, or what side of the aisles you sit on, or what color you rep. All I care about is if your policies that you demonstrate and your action is actually helping and benefiting the country and people, not just the country, because there's a difference between benefiting the country and benefiting the people. The country is more like industries, corporation. So if it's benefiting the people on the ground, then I'm all for it. But if it's not, then I don't care what political class you come from or background or whatever. If it's not going to work, I'm not going to support it. As simple as that. Okay, so now that I've gotten that clear out the way, I don't agree with this line of argument that this senior politician is coming out with us within the government, because I'm going to go into the report and I'm going to illustrate why the Integrity Commission was completely in their rights to do what they do in the way they do it and in the manner they do it. Okay, so here we are. We're about to jump into this integrity report. That's 107-page document, which is here. I did mention in my last video actually that I had a copy of the 1999, 2018 and the 2022 Road Traffic Act. I know a lot of you probably thinking, oh, he's just talking. There they are, the acts are there, I've read through them. So it wasn't no capping at all. Anyway, let's jump into this integrity stuff. Now, as you can see when we scroll down, it's saying here, report of investigation conducted into the circumstances surrounding the award of Government of Jamaica contracts to Westcon Construction Limited during the period 2006 to 2009. Now, we said 2006 to 2009, but because I've already had a cursory read of this, but as you can see, I think it's more like 2007 to 2009 or whatever the case may be. So we'll jump into that a bit more, okay? And we'll just, go through it as we go along, okay? Now, I'm not going to go through the entire report because as you can see, it's quite long. It's a 107-page document. And yeah, there's no way we're going to sit through this. But as I said, there's bits that I've read. And there's something that caught my eye that a lot of people probably missed. And I can say that could be another reason of suspicion, not necessarily wrongdoing, but suspicion. But first, let me jump into why I think this report was valid for an investigation in the first place. Okay, so let's just jump straight into page 20, I believe it is. So let's go down to page 20. Here we are, page 20. And this is what they've been talking about. Now, it did mention that there were some 5 contracts, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listed in the record numbers. And as you can see, they've all been rewarded by these public bodies. So you have Ministry of Education here, and down here again you have Ministry of Education and Youth. So whilst I'm going to do this illustration, I've decided that I'm going to turn on my mouse. So as you can see, there's going to be some interesting things I'm going to point out in this video. But first of all, let's just tackle the bit about the 5, which are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 different sort of contracts that was awarded to Westcon Construction. You can see them all there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. I mean, the whole thing is about Westcon Construction, but these are from these particular government bodies that I think was raised the alarm. Now, what you have to bear in mind is, because there's a situation going on right now where you have Andrew Holness, who is the sitting Prime Minister of Jamaica, and his sort of business associate, if you like, who is Robert Garvin, who is the person that owns Westcon Construction Limited. You can see that would raise suspicion of conflict of interest or nepotism, and because of that, excuse me, yeah, battling the sore throat again. I don't know what's going on. The weather here in London is cold, so it does wreak havoc with people sometimes. It was hot and cold. Anyway, you have this situation here where you have Mr. Garvin, who obviously is a business associate of Andrew Holness, And you can see the conflict of interest there, or should I say what it appears to be, because no one knows for sure if this is conflict of interest, or did Westcon Construction were the best company for the job. Basically, if they were the best company for the job, could they normally put a bidding out, and I'll go through that in a second. They'll put bidding out, and maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies, 10 maybe sometimes, might all put in their bid to win that contract. And obviously the one that's going to do it within the budget of the government, where the government can save money, the cheapest one, and probably can do it within a timely manner that the government is looking or expecting, then they're going to get the contract. It's as simple as that. Now, as you can see, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education and Youth, Ministry of Education and Youth. So 4 and 5 is Ministry of Education and Youth, and the rest of them is just Ministry of Education. These are all public bodies, as you can see there, but this is government department, the Ministry of Education, obviously. So you have 3 situations that people are looking at here. One, there's a situation where there's a connection between the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, and owner of the company, Westcon Construction. That's number 1. That in itself don't raise much suspicion. Suspicion number 2 is the fact that he's awarded the contract to actually do the job. So that's suspicion number 2. It's all good and well you have a business associate that is that you do business with, but for them to get contracts from the government, that's going to also raise suspicion. Here's the other suspicion. The other suspicion is Westcon Construction did not get this contract from the government, not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, not just 4 times. They have got it 5 times. That in itself would raise suspicions. I'm sorry, if I was the person like Mrs. Prince Kamika, I would definitely be looking at whether I should look into this, because after 5 contracts been awarded to the same company, then the person that owns the company has a relationship, like a business associate with the government. That in itself is reason for suspicion. I'm sorry. That's a good reason to refer a case. And for Andrew Holness to say they're weaponizing this and this has been used to, as a political stunt or whatever, I disagree with that. And for the other senior, I forgot her name, that actually said this is bizarre, this is unusual, and etc. etc. No, it's not. What's bizarre is 5 different contracts are being awarded to one company. That in itself is not a problem per se, but when there's a connection between the Prime Minister and the person who owns the company, then those 5 awarded contracts then begins to look suspicious. That doesn't mean in itself that there is suspicion or there's wrongdoing going on. It just looks that way. It appears that way on the surface. It's enough information for the Integrity Commission to do a probe, which is what they're there for. They're there to do a probe. They're not there to be judge, jury, and executioner. They have to collect the information first, do the due diligence, do the research, and investigate and find out if there's any solid thing here that they can pursue. If there's nothing, then they'll come out and give a report and say nothing to see here. In this case, Prime Minister Holness is exonerated, and that's the end of that. I don't see where he's calling for this person to resign or to be fired. That is an extreme situation. That to me is political, and that's irony right there, because you're then saying don't be political, but here you are being political, asking or demanding the resignation of Greg Christie. And I'm saying, why are you targeting him? I mean, these guys are just doing their jobs. Their job is to, when stuff come on their desk, they investigate it, and and then just take it from there. They've gone through the due process within the Integrity Commission. They've gone through the due process. You've came out on the other end, clean, and that's good enough. That's it. I don't see where this warrants a resignation of any type, unless they've unduly treated you unfairly during the process of the investigation. Whether they put out information in the public media that besmirch you, as Golding will put it, or make you to be somebody of unsound character in that respect. You know what I mean? Now, I don't see where that is. It's just that this is public information. They have to keep it public, because if it's private and it's confidential, then it's going to look like this is a cover-up, and these investigations are going on behind the scene and the public is unaware of what's going on. So it had to be open and transparent, So far as I can see, I don't see what the Integrity Commission have done wrong so far. I mean, Kevin Stevenson, who is Director of Investigation, has also done his job. Something has come across is peripheral. It looks suspicious. It appears to be suspicious. So what he's done, he's gone ahead and he's referred it over to Mrs. Prince Kamika in that respect. So now what's happening is everybody along each step of the journey in each tranche has done their due diligence and have done their job. And I've said in my previous video that there's no charges, there's no judge, jury and executioner. They have to probe and they have to investigate, and if they have sufficient evidence, then they'll investigate, or should I say sufficient information, they'll investigate. And if the information that they've gathered, the data they've gathered, if that now is substantial enough, then and is solid enough, then they'll go ahead with charges. In this case, there was nothing to see. And as you can see from this report, there's nothing to see, but I can understand why it triggered an investigation. Come on, sitting Prime Minister, business associate, getting 5 awards from the same company. People are going to look at that. That's not suspicious in itself, because I'm sure companies up and down the country get more than one contracts with different entities. If you're running a business, you don't just want to have a repeat customer. You don't just want to have a customer one off and then you never have them again. So there's nothing wrong with having a repeat customer. In this case, Westcon Construction having a repeat customer, which is the Ministry of Education, which is part of the government. Nothing wrong with that on the surface. But because there's a link between the Prime Minister and the owner of Westcon Construction, and then you put all these 5 contracts into play, then it sort of paints a different picture on the surface in terms of how it looks, the optics. That doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong, because as you can see when you go down the list, he's got other contracts that he's won with Social Development Commission, and if you go down here, he's got a few more. National Works Agency, quite a few. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with National Work Agency, which is more than he have with the government. So of course, when Prince Kamika look at this, she's going to be thinking, wow, okay, so there was 5 with the government, the Ministry of Education, but then there's 6 here with National Works Agency. So it seems as if everything is in sync. It seems as if this was only 2 and another one is only 1, but then when it came to the government, it was like 5 or 6, then that would look unusual. So when you look at the bigger picture, I think that's when you realize that, there's nothing to see here, because he's had repeat business with other entities, and actually they're actually more than what he's had with the government. So on the surface, this doesn't look like anything that needs to, they need to delve into. And of course, they give some information in regards to, the amounts and so on. I'm not going to go into that. However, because I want to keep this video short, what I also wanted to take you through is the situation of the bidding. Now, this is the bit where I think a lot of people has missed. And this is where I'm asking questions now. So let's just be clear. I'm not assuming anything. I'm not saying anything is a wrongdoing. I'm just looking at something. I'm looking at this report in front of me. Again, I'm not partisan. I'm looking at this report in front of me that obviously the government probably would have had a copy of. Of course, this is a report that came from the Integrity Commission themselves. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I noticed something caught my eye as I was going through this. And what caught my eye was the way they do the contract biddings. And I thought, this is interesting. So let's just go through that and just look into it. So first of all, here's the first bidding. Here's one on table 3, because I think there's table 2 and table 1, but where is that? This is table 2, but that's not to do with biddings as far as I can see. Let's jump up here to is this table 1? No, that's to do with, right, so is this table 1 then? No, that's table 2. So the other one up there was table 1, which I was looking at. Oh, I thought they were, the way they number it is a bit weird. They're numbering they're numbering the tables rather than numbering the entities of the table, if that makes sense. So here we are in table 3. This is where the bidding starts. So in terms of this document. So here we have bidding submitted. You can see that MC Associates has outbidded Westcon Construction, who is underneath. So in other words, they got 1.8 million. Westcon Construction came in with 3.3 million. So what this is saying is, okay, this is some type of situation where on the surface everything seems fine. But what strikes my eye is this, from what I can see, let's just go through the maths actually. So they've been outbidded here once. So in other words, I would take it that probably they got that contract if everything went the way MC Associates wanted it to go. I don't know if they actually got the contract or Western Construction ended up getting the contract for whatever this bidding was for, even if even if their price was higher, because obviously you have to remember, as I said to you before, governments or other business corporate entities will put biddings out, contracts out to get some type of works or job done. Companies will then obviously bid on it, and the ones with the lowest bid within the budget that can do the job in a timely manner to the standards and specification required will win the contract. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. So when you look down here and you jump down the table, you can see there were 10 people. So this part of the contract here, only shows you the first 4. And as you can see, it went down here and then there's the rest of them. So it's 10 people, 10 companies in all that bid. This person, modern waterproofing and construction, bid 5.2 million. That's a lot. So they didn't win that contract. Now, it obviously, you can put your contract bid in depending on your overheads and how how your infrastructure set up in order for you to procure these sort of stuff, because a company who is much bigger with much more resources can probably undercut a smaller company who can't have the same deep pockets to do so. So you have to bear that in mind, okay? So as you can see with the first one, they were outbidded by by MC Associates. I know I've dwelt on this a bit and you're probably getting fed up now and thinking, can you just move on? Okay, so let me move on. So here we are, second bidding, Western Union has won it. So the first one they didn't win, this one they've won the bidding, they're coming the cheapest. So let's jump down to the table. You can see some other companies down here coming in after, and obviously they didn't win the bidding. So far Western Construction have lost one and have won one, so they have the second best bidding, and in this one they have the best bidding. So let's go down further. I'm just going to show you a pattern here now, which is starting to develop, and I want you to guess what you think this pattern is going to be. Second bidding. Remember, we're only interested in this bit where it says bids submitted. Okay, in this one again, Western Construction won that bid for 2.1 million. Let's just go down again. Let's see if we see any more bidding. Remember, we're looking for biddings, not items. All this stuff here, that's not bidding, this is just something different, so we need to keep focus. So we jump down here again, looking for biddings. Okay, here we are, submitted biddings, bids submitted. Western again won this contract, or they came in the cheapest with 2.1 again. Let's just jump down further. Here we are, second one. Is there any bids here? Yes, bids submitted. Let's see again. Hello, surprise, who's won this bid again? 1.6. Are you starting to see a pattern now? So let's just jump down here. That's just items. We need to look for bids. Okay, here we are, submitted bids. Who's at the first? Who's at the top? Submit, because these bids, all these bids are numerically arranged according to from the cheapest to the most expensive. So obviously, again, if you can undercut the competition, you're undercutting the competition, because you can do the job at the same standard with the same quality for a cheaper price, basically. Yeah, so that's what we're going to assume in this particular situation. So again, they've won that bid. So let's just jump down further. Let's keep going, looking for more bids. Any more bids? Yes, here are another bid submitted. Hello, who's won this bid? 3 people bidded this, 3 different companies bidded this time. Notice waterproofing and construction is always in a lot of these bids as well, but they seem to be playing second fiddle to Western Construction Limited. So there's a pattern here, and I'm going to tell you what that pattern suggests to me. It doesn't necessarily mean this is fact and this is the case, but I'm looking at what's in front of me. This is the black and white in front of me. Here is another bid. Again, Gus, who's won the bidding again? 2.5 over here again. D&G Marshall Modern Waterproofing this time came down in 4th position. So you know what I mean, these companies is an ongoing thing. These companies know of each other, they work in the same industry, so they'll know of each other, and when bids go out, they'll all know about these contracts. Another bid comes in again. This one is for 1.6 million. Hello again, outbidded everybody else. Modern Waterproofing is way down here in 1, 2, 3, 4 position. And all the same names are popping up. And remember the first bid, MC Associates won the first bid. The first one where Western came into first place, and they came into first place and Western Construction came into second place. Now they're in last place in this particular bid. So that's that situation. Is there any more that we can look at? I think that's the end of the bidding. Yeah, that's the end of the bidding. All these if you look at the pages over on the right, there's no more tables. That's the end of the bidding. The last table is table number 22. So what this suggests to me, and let's just jump into this. What this has suggested to me is that let me just take a deep breath first. This is suggesting to me, just looking on the surface of it, is that Western Construction is extremely lucky or extremely successful of always winning bids. In the first table, they came second, and they, for whatever the reason, have never come second again. They've always come first. Now, why is that? What that suggests to me, what it appears on the surface, because I'm not accusing anybody of anything, and I'm not saying that there's any wrongdoing going on. This could be just a shrewd businessman that's knows his market, he knows his industry, he knows his way around the whole industry. So he knows how to place bids and he knows how to do things, and he was outbidded the first time and he hasn't made that mistake again. Okay, now what I'm looking at here is, could this, and this is just a question, it's just a question, could it be that Western Construction has inside information as to these as to the amount that other companies are bidding? Because when these bids are going out, you're not going to know. If you look at most of these companies, they come in at various places. In one bid there might be second place, another bid there might be fourth, another bid there might be last, like in MC Associates, another bid there might be somewhere else. So let's just move up and look, see if we see any more MC Associates bids to see where they're placed. This one, where's MC Associates? Oh, they didn't bother bidding that one. Let's see another bid where they're placed. Here's another one down here. Where's MC Associates? They're not in that bid. Marshall Construction is there, D&G Ascot is there, second this time. So these names, pop up and and disappear depending on if they think they can go for those bids. More the waterproofing, they are all the way down there. Some other companies pop up, XYZ Construction. So what I'm saying to you is, what this is looking like to me is, this is a question. Could it be possible that Western Construction has privilege information where they can see the amount that other companies are bidding and they are in a position to undercut them? Because if you look at all the other companies, modern waterproofing comes up a lot. Are we saying that these other companies just don't seem to be getting it right? It's almost as if they're gambling, they're playing Russian roulette. You spin the barrel and you just hope that the one that's got the bullet in it is not the one when you pull the trigger. But for some reason, Western Construction Limited is always coming up trumps. They always come up tops. They're always outbidding the competition. And I'm saying that on the surface, this looks like somebody could be feeding them information where they can say, okay, we need to see what the competition is bidding. Oh, this one is bidding 1.6. What the other one then bid? Well, he might bid 1.6, okay. Well, if me I go beat them, if I go lower, okay, him the 1.69. What the other one? So once he got all this information, he will know that so he knows that he doesn't have to go very far. Look at the difference between these three, or even these four. Not much between them, is there? Not much between them. Doesn't necessarily mean that Western Construction will get this contract, because let's say this person here, which is in third place, bid 1.67, which is just a fragment from 1.69, which is a fragment from 1.35. 1.635 or 1.669 and 1.674. Now, what I'm saying to you is, this person here this company here could have won the bid. We don't know. Simply because even though they're more expensive, it could be a situation where they have better resources, they have better experience in that particular contract, and they think that for value for money, this is what we're going to charge if you want a good job done, because we're expertise in this particular contract that we're bidding on. If it's something to do with construction in pipeline or something, then it might be another company got a bit more expertise than another company. Because in building and construction, you got electrical, you got pipeline, you got building blocks, you got materials, you got road works, you got different areas, you got roofing, you got so many different areas of the contract. The contract doesn't specifically say too much about what the actual criteria is. It says criteria for the lowest responsive tender. So okay, so what this is suggesting to me is evaluation methodology, selection of the 3 lowest responsive competitive bids and then select the lowest. Okay, I didn't watch that, I didn't read that. So basically what this is now saying is and they're looking at comparable estimates. So what this is now suggesting to me is they will only go for the person with the cheapest bid. So then that even solidified the question in my mind even more. Wow, that even solidified the question in my mind even more. So if you know that you're going to get a bid which is based on the criteria that the person with the lowest bid is going to get selected, and the criteria is the lowest tender, then all you have to do is put in the lowest bid and you'll win the contract, regardless of whether you'll actually do a better job than the competition or not. This is what this is suggesting. I'm not saying that's the case, but I've highlighted these 2 bits and that's what it's suggesting to me. That's the evaluation methodology and that's the criteria for selection. And both of them are basically suggesting that the person with the lowest bids will probably end up getting the contract. So all Western Construction has to do is make sure that they outbid everybody else in that respect. And they've done it consecutively over all the bids except the first one that we looked at. In the first ever bid, they came in second. So if we look at the first bid, let's just scroll back up and look at the first one, if we can find it. Here we are. MC Associates came in at 1.8 million. Western Construction was way off by 3.3. And let's see what the criteria is. Criteria for the lowest responsive tender: selection of the 3 lowest responsive competitive bids and then select the lowest. So in other words, these 3 are going to be selected automatically, 1, 2 and 3. So that, I don't know why I'm highlighting 4 tropical metal products. They're basically going to be out of the bid. So it's going to be these top 3 and then they'll select the cheapest one, which is going to be MC Associates. Okay, so they're going to end up getting the contract. That's what I'm saying. So it seems as if all of these, that's what the situation is. So Western Construction, missed out on this one. They've never made that mistake again. So I'm not sure what's going on. This is the construction, industry we're talking about. What this paper from the Integrity Commission is suggesting, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm looking at the paperwork. I don't know these people. I don't know these companies. I'm not familiar with it. I'm simply looking at this report, this 107-page report from the Integrity Commission. That's what I'm looking at. There's no political bias. There's no company bias. There's no corporate bias. There's no bias at all. I'm looking at the facts and the figures in front of me, and the criteria of how they select the bids and the evaluation methodology that they use is here in black and white. It's bold letters. You can't miss it. Okay? That's what I'm doing. They even put them in inverted commas, speech marks, to make you realize that, you can take this verbatim. That's what they're doing. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, how did the mainstream media miss this? And did the Integrity Commission miss this? This is a pattern. It's like when you're doing analytics and you're looking at analytics, figures suggest things to you. And when you look at the analytics, you have to learn how to interpret data. My interpretation could be completely wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But what I'm saying to you is, looking at this data, and we've gone through all the pages, all the way down to page, what's the last one? What's the last one? Where are we? Yeah, we've gone all the way down to the last bidding that we looked at was this one here. Yeah, all of them have the same criteria and the same methodology. Okay, and what I'm saying to you is, it appears from these information, from this data, that it could be a possibility that Western Construction have inside information that they're using to win these bids, because in this case you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different people coming in to bid, and it's just so happened that out of these 8 companies that come to bid, construction companies, Western Construction is always outbidding them every time. How is that possible? In mathematics, there's the probability, when you do the formula for probability or random numbers, this wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? You can't spin the barrel and each time the barrel lands on the bullet. You can't roll the dice and every time you roll the dice you get 6. Do you understand me? Or every time you roll the dice you get 1. You're going to get a random probability of numbers every time you roll the dice. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, every time the dice is rolled when it comes to these bids, Western Construction has managed to outbid everybody else. And what that suggests to me is that maybe there's someone, or they have some access to information which is giving them an advantage in terms of these bids. That's what I'm saying. That doesn't necessarily mean it's facts and it is true. I'm just looking at the data in front of me, and that's what it suggests to me. If someone was to say, look at this document, what do you think? I'm going to say, my opinion is this. My opinion is just an opinion. It doesn't mean it's facts, okay? So that's all I've got to say about this. And I didn't write this document. I didn't write or produce this report. It's produced by the Integrity Commission. And this is the information that was referred to them by, what's his name again? I think his name was, not Greg Christie. I think it was referred to them by Kevin Stevenson, Director of Investigation from the Anti-Corruption Agency. He referred the report to Keisha Prince Mika, who's the Director of Corruption and Prosecution. Okay, but yet still we have them calling for the resignation of the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, calls for him to be resigned or fired. And I'm saying none of these people, Greg Christie, Kevin Stevenson, my apologies, and Keisha Prince Mika, none of those three people did anything wrong. They've all done their jobs honorably and above board and follow the company policy and how they go about doing the due process. No accusations was levied, no charges was levied. There was a suspicion, which is, we've outlined the suspicion. The initial suspicion would be the connection between Andrew Holness and Robert Garvin. That's in itself is a suspicion. You know what I mean? If I come to Jamaica and I'm running a business and there's some type of connection I have with a political entity, of course, in itself, that's gonna sort of bring up some type of suspicion to say, you know, is there anything suspicious here? And this 5 contracts that you can look at here, being from one company, is enough for them to say, well, there's something else that's caught my eye actually that I need to look at, that I didn't look at before. There's this here, just bear with me please. There's this contract here for 3.36 million. They said the contract value is this. Was this contract awarded? It's a Ministry of Education. If this is the case, this is also suspicious, which is something that I've only just realized. Because remember we looked at one where he lost the bidding, and that one he was way off. So just remember this number, 3.3 million, 3360650. Okay, so bear that in mind, 330,650. So let's go down to the first bidding that they've lost, 330,360 or 350, 330,350. So okay, let's just go down here, because we need to see the contracts and see at what point did Western miss that contract. Here we go, 330,650. So that's the same number. Yeah, it's the same number. So according to that is weird, bro. According to this, criteria for the lowest responsive tender, that's the criteria. Evaluation methodology, selection of the 3 lowest responsive competitive bids, and then select the lowest. So here are the 3 competitive bids, the top 3, the lowest 3. Sevrite Building Supplies, Westcon Construction, and MC Associates. But then it says here, and then select the lowest. So in this case, as I said earlier, I was presuming that MC Associates would have gotten this bid and not Western Construction, because this is 3360650. So 33650. So if that's the case, how come up here is saying that they've gotten the bid? That don't make any sense. What do you think, YouTube? That don't make any sense, people. Come on, Jamaica. Where are we? Yeah, one more up. 330,650. There it is. How did they get this bid? How did the Ministry of Education give them this bid? Because according to what we just looked at, MC Associates should have had this bid, not them. So you see, when politicians talk, you have to really examine stuff. You know what this sounds like to me? This was more than enough information for them to do the I'm sorry. This is more than enough information, right? Because I'm getting kind of angry now, to be honest. Because it's things like this that gets me upset. Because here we have a situation in black and white where the information, and unless they're going to come out and say this data is wrong and that's not the figure, and they didn't get this contract from the Ministry of Education for 3.36 million or whatever. Unless they're going to come out and say that, then for resheeting of roof, electrical and plumbing, that's what the contract was for. So it's here in black and white. Brownstown Infant School, that's the location. That's the building. Okay, and that's the company who carried out the contracting work, and that's the amount they charge. But yesterday we looked down on the bidding, and they were the second lowest bidder. So the MC, this should basically say MC. This should say MC Associates right here, and for whatever the 1.8 or whatever that million that they bidded for, because that's the criteria and that's the methodology that they're using. Okay, so it's not me saying this. This is in the report. I've just showed it to you in black and white. Come on, people. So now I'm thinking, how can the Prime Minister come out and say what he said and calling for the resignation of Greg Christie, when they've done anyone with common sense who've got a brain in their cranium would look at this and say, hang on a minute, but this is what the figures are suggesting, this is what the data is suggesting. So where have they done wrong? They didn't accuse anybody of anything. All they've done is looking at the data and say, we need to investigate this. Now they've done the investigation and they've come back and say there's nothing to see here, which now makes me thinking there's another theory. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist because I don't believe in that, but I'm looking at the data in front of me. This would suggest that maybe they do have something, but for whatever reason somebody within the Integrity Commission made the decision that they're not going to go ahead with any charges. Even though what's in black and white is showing you, we need to be able to read carefully and analytically and look at information. That's what this is saying to me. Now all these other ones, I'm sure if I go down in the table I can match up all these other numbers, but that's not a problem, because those ones would mean, because all the other contracts that he bid on, he came in the lowest. Okay, for all of them he came in the lowest. So for those that we've looked at where Westcon Construction came in the lowest, then they should be here. The one that's questionable is this one, because this figure should say 1.8 something million, and this should say MC Associates. That's what I'm saying. So that's in itself is another suspicion. But maybe when the Integrity Commission, from the what's her name, Keisha Prince Kamika, when she did her investigation from who's the director of corruption and prosecution, maybe when she did her investigation and she looked over the information, she decided that there was nothing to see here. Okay, if that's the case, then that's the case, and they found nothing, because maybe there's some other explanation that they didn't include in here, or I've overlooked and I didn't see, because even while going through this video you can see there's stuff that I've sort of missed, but then I'm looking with a second eye and I'm like, oh, okay, I missed that. And so that's what I'm saying, I've missed this completely. And that casts a shadow to me of a doubt. So having said this doesn't mean that Westcon Construction has done anything wrong. They're guilty of any corruption or wrongdoing. It doesn't mean the Prime Minister Andrew Holness is guilty of any corruption or wrongdoing or nepotism or anything like that. All it means is that when you look at this information, I'm sure, come on Prime Minister Holness, I don't know if you watch this, I know quite a few politicians watch my videos, trust me, I know. What I want to say to you guys is, come on Andrew, if this landed on your desk and this was Mark Golding, yeah, you're going to tell me that you wouldn't look at this and refer it and want it to be referred to the Integrity Commission to look into his dealings? Of course you would. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Remember that last previous video where you were talking about lack of confidence within the government when you were the opposition? So another thing that strikes me as well is these particular contracts that was sort of raising heads all come from the Ministry of Education. Now, as far as I can understand it, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Answer this question if in the comments. Was Andrew Holness linked to the Ministry of Education for the JLP at any point in his political career? And if he has, then that would be another question mark. Doesn't mean guilt, doesn't mean he's corrupted in any way. We have to be careful what we say. We can't go around accusing people. This is why I'm very careful how I construct this video. All I'm doing is looking at data and I'm interpreting what the data is saying to me, and I'm asking questions as I go through the data. That's what I'm doing. I'm not partisan. I don't support any political party. I don't care which party is in power. I don't care which prime minister is in power. All I care about is, are they going to do something to help the masses, the poor working class people? If you're not for the poor working class people, I don't care about you if you don't care about us. It's that simple. I'm not the type of person that's going to vote for you over and over and over and over and over again, and 3-4 generations we're struggling and we're in poverty, and all we're getting is empty promises. I'm not for that at all. So all I'm saying to you is this: what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If this was Mark Golding, I would do this video the exact same way. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. So with that said, I think I'm going to leave it here. I'm just quickly looking to see if there's anything else I missed. The only thing I would suggest is that I was going to try and map and link all the different map and link all the different all these numbers here, because we've mapped and linked this number already, which shouldn't be there according to the criteria. This shouldn't be the case, but what can I say? These I'm sure is going to be coming up, but I'm not too bothered about these. And as I say, I think I'm just going to end the video here. Until next time, keep it locked, stay cool.